without bothering to learn, they have just simply parroted a common way of speaking about the Quran and saying, it's 100% the way it's always been, with no variation or change whatsoever.
Our claim, the Muslim claim, has been for the last 14 centuries that the Quran is absolutely word by word preserved. Word by word.
The sense of complacency that many Muslims have gone around with, thinking that, everything has been preserved dot for dot, letter for letter.
And frankly, the Quran has been preserved, we believe, word for word, letter for letter.
Which actually is not a scholarly way of thinking about the Quran. Our scholars have always known and have always described in our classical books variations.
Have no doubt whatsoever that the Quran has been preserved to the letter.
Many Muslims have gone around with thinking that, everything has been preserved dot for dot, letter for letter.
Essentially, the hadith goes as follows. When Abu Bakr, after Abu Bakr's Quran had been collected, so first you have Muhammad. Muhammad dies, there's no one codex of the Quran. After Muhammad, there's a man named Abu Bakr who comes. Abu Bakr, after a few years, is challenged. People say to him, you should collect the Quran. He thinks it's not a good idea because Muhammad didn't do it. Then people urge him, collect the Quran into a book. And so he does, he collects it into a book. That book is given to a woman named Hafsa, ultimately. First he had it, and then it ultimately passed to Hafsa. When the third caliph, again, this is according to Sunni Islam, when the third caliph comes, Khalifa Uthman, people are arguing about the Quran again. And so Uthman gathers the Quran from Hafsa. He asks everyone to bring their manuscripts of the Quran. He collects them. He gets the same guy who wrote Abu Bakr's Quran, a man named Zayd bin Thabit. He gets him to take all these manuscripts, to write the Quran in the dialect of the Quraysh, makes 5 copies, burns all the manuscripts. He destroys them so that there will be no variants. He provides 5.
Our scholars have always known and have always described in our classical books variations and manuscripts, like, it's read like this by Ubay bin Ka'b, it's read like this by Ibn Masud, and so on. And in the Codex of Ibn Masud, it was seen to be written like this. In the Codex of Ubay bin Ka'b, it was seen to be written like this with this or that variation. So these were always known in scholarly circles to have existed. But recently, average Muslims have just simply, without bothering to learn, they have just simply parroted a common way of speaking about the Quran and saying, it's 100% the way it's always been, and they cannot imagine any variations.
So can we feel confident then that the Quran that we have now is preserved accurately from God?